Hello, welcome back to my channel. I'm Robin, and guess what today is? Nothing special. It's nothing special. I don't know why I was so excited. I just was. Okay, so here's the thing. Do you ever have a thing and you don't realize it's your thing until like you start talking about it a lot and then other people are like, hey, this is your thing? And no, just me. So here's what my thing is. So I didn't realize until recently, until I had been having discussions with friends, that I have a thing with zombies and the zombie apocalypse. Like, I've watched a lot of zombie movies and TV shows, and I don't know what it is, but I'm not gonna say an obsession, but I do have a little bit of knowledge about zombies and zombie apocalypses. I don't know, it's who I am. And so I said, okay, so let's lean into this. Let's lean into the zombie likingness. And then I thought, you know what's really weird? I've actually never really read like a zombie novel. I have read the first and second compendiums of The Walking Dead, but like a zombie novel, I have not done. And so I said, let's try out some things. So in this vlog, we're gonna read a couple of zombie and a zombie apocalypse things. I have a mix of genres and mediums, and we're gonna just dive in. Also, I've had World War Z on my shelves for what seems like forever. I've watched the movie World War Z and I really enjoyed it. I think World War Z has some of my most interesting zombies because they are very fast. It's very scary. Also, they like can detect sound from miles and miles away. Also very scary because it's like you can't talk more than a whisper. But you know what's the one thing that deters those zombies? It is if you have a literal physical illness. They get like this close to you and then they're like, I don't want it. But like they're still this close to you, and that is scary as fuck. It couldn't be me. Also, I just want to let you guys know, do not depend on me in a zombie apocalypse. I'm not the one. I have terrible cardio and stamina. Like I'm not gonna make it. You think I'm jumping over a fence? It's not gonna be me. Also, like I'm gonna give maybe the world's governments about 2 to 3 weeks to quell the zombie apocalypse. And I know we can't, because look what happened at the beginnings of COVID. We could barely get it together. So I know that zombies taking over, we're done. But I'm gonna give them 2 or 3 weeks before I'm just like heading out, because I just don't have it in me to withstand. And it's not even just the zombies that you're fighting against. It's the rest of the world. Have you seen humanity lately? They are terrible. I have no faith in them whatsoever. So to expect them to get it together in time for me to like survive, I feel like 2 to 3 weeks is about the time I would run out of food and water, and stop trying to like protect myself from everybody probably trying to break into my house or something. That's all I can give y'all. That's where we are with zombies. I don't know how we got here. Oh, World War Z. We were talking about World War Z. Walking Dead zombies are also another favorite of mine because they're a little slower. But I feel like Walking Dead zombies, at least on the show, were a little inconsistent because sometimes they were fast, sometimes they were slow. But Blair agrees. He knows what's up. But yeah, we're gonna read a couple of zombie things, and I will tell you, I actually don't know what the point of this is. Am I learning how to survive a zombie apocalypse? Am I learning how zombies come to be? I don't really know what the point is. The point is I wanted to read a whole bunch of zombie books and tell you guys about them, and so I am. And so let's get started. Okay, hello, I'm here, I'm back. I have read a couple of things at this point, just 3, but I have thoughts. But the first thing that I read for this was World War Z by Max Brooks, which is vastly different than the movie World War Z, because the movie follows one guy as he's trying to make it to a particular destination and also like figure out what is happening in this post-apocalyptic world and like how did we get here. But this is actually a nameless, faceless interviewer as they interview different people who had parts in the downfall, maybe the zombie uprising. I think that's what we call it here. And so we start off with the beginning of days where you're not really sure, like you see a little hint of something and it seems strange, but you're like, do we say anything? We talk to government officials in here, everyday regular people who are just living their lives. We talk to some mercenaries who provide weapons, maybe not for governments, but maybe for like other people who have money and can afford protection. I did tab this a little bit because I just thought it was very interesting. The finger pointing that's done in here, the people saying, well, you know, China knew about it first, or this actually started in South Africa. Don't you see the first case? Or, you know, in the UK, and they're like, well, we may have seen a report about it, but like we didn't think it was anything. And then we move to what happens during the decisions that people have to make. Who gets saved? Do we just save some for, do we sacrifice a group of people for the greater group of people, or do we try to save everybody at the same time? You see humanity just really start to devolve. And then we also get to like a world where zombies are starting to not exist, where they are still here, they are still plaguing the entire world, but people have started to try to fight back, try to take back, you know, their homes and their cities. And I think that that's an interesting thing to look at too. Like, how do we come from where we're pointing fingers to where we can try to start coming together to save each other in a way. And then the second thing that I read was iZombie. Volume 1, which was issues 1 through 6, is about Gwen, who is a zombie herself, but she doesn't want anyone to know that she's a zombie. And the only way to keep people from knowing that she's a zombie is like once in a while she needs to satiate her hunger for brains. And so she does this by working at a graveyard and being a grave digger. So one of the perks of her job is she's able to dig up bodies, fresh bodies, and then eat their brains. And then dig them back, like put them back in the ground without anyone being the wiser. The only problem with this is that once she consumes those brains, she kind of takes on the memories of the person that she just ate. I don't know, I didn't really like Gwen as a person. She was kind of shit to her friends, who one was a ghost and the other was a were-terrier who like obviously has this huge crush on her, and she's just, I know he has a crush on me, but I'm just gonna pretend like it doesn't exist and still gonna do everything that I want him to do, which I just like, kind of shit. But in this particular volume, we're following Gwen as she takes on the memories of one of the people that she just ate. She learns about the way that he was killed, and it leads her to find someone who's just like her, and tells her, like, you know, you don't have to live this life. You could live a life where you're not hungry all the time. And then also beware, because there are people who are in this world searching for paranormals like you. And Gwen is just like, I don't know what to do. It sounds like an interesting premise, but I just could not get into it. I wonder if I would enjoy watching this show. I think that the show is based on this comic, but I won't be finding out, because I didn't like Gwen. I didn't like her friends. I didn't like how Gwen treated her friends. This overall story just seemed very rushed and like almost like nothing really connected, and it wasn't for me. The only thing interesting I did find about it is that in terms of zombies in World War Z, we don't really talk about the actual zombies, like how they are zombieing. You know, are they fast, are they slow, are just sticking them in the head, like really kill them? Do you need to get them in the heart or something? You know, we don't really talk about that. But I think it was interesting take that in this one, Gwen is a living, kind of breathing, kind of person who has thoughts and feelings, and like you don't typically see that with zombie things, right? Normally they're these mindless creatures that have one goal, and that is to eat humans. But I thought it was interesting that Gwen was someone who encompassed all of these human feelings and emotions, but she was a zombie. And then moving on, I read Feed by Mira Grant. This is the first in the Newsflash series, and I got about 50% of the way before I had to DNF. Mira Grant, Shauna McGuire is not the author for me. But with Feed, we have two siblings. I don't even remember their names. Oh well. But we have these two siblings, they're adoptive siblings. Their parents probably died at the beginning of the zombie apocalypse, and another family took them in because the parents in that family actually lost their son to zombies and then became activists for not quite zombie rights, but like for protection of sorts from zombies. In this book, we have a world that is post-zombie uprising. Like, it's happened. People have started to come back to a semblance of like everyday life. They figured out a way to live amongst the zombies by creating barriers and fences, knowing which areas they cannot go into because they're like no-no zones. And these two siblings are journalists, and so they are allowed to go into these areas where there are more zombies. They are chosen to go on a presidential campaign trail and follow one of the candidates and kind of report like what's happening on the campaign trail. But like, they're like, this is no holds bar. Like, we don't sugarcoat what's actually happening. We don't side with one person or the other. We just report the news and give you the facts. And so as they are on this campaign trail, something crazy happens. There is a couple of zombie outbreaks. People are in spaces where they thought that they would feel safe, and all of a sudden, hordes of zombies have come and tried to like attack them. Some people die, some people get away, but it's like, why is all of this happening now after years of being quote unquote safe? And so they're trying to figure out like what's going on. Now, I didn't get to the part where they figured out what was going on because I had to head out. The sibling relationship just felt a little weird to me. I didn't like it. Also, the main character was super I'm not like other girls, and I wanted to punch that hoe in the face. I'm so sorry. Because she has an eye condition, which there are scanners in this world where they can like look at your retinas and see if there's a part of the infection in you. And so like, obviously if they detect it, you can't come into whatever space. You now need to be contained. And so she has a condition where she has irregular retinas that would kind of confuse the machine. So she has a medical pass, she has special glasses that she wears and special contacts. And she's like, I don't like to be noticed, but she has these ice blue contacts because she's like, I like to make people feel uncomfortable when they look at me. But you don't want to be noticed? I don't understand. Also, like, the way she dresses is like, I'm different. I don't want to dress like everybody else. I wear what I want to wear. And it's like, all right, girl, cool. Also, there was like the repetition of these eye scanners and the protocols for entering and exiting a place. After the first 2 times, it was like, cool, I get it. I understand how this works, you know, but every time they would enter or exit a building, they would go through the step-by-step process of which people had to undergo to get in and out. And I was just like, we don't need to keep doing this every single time they go in and out of a room. So I was gonna say I quickly DNF'd, but I didn't. I struggled through for a very, very long time, and I wish I had. And so that's our first roundup. We have 1 hit, 2 misses. All in all, I still think I'm having a very good time. I didn't realize how into zombies I was until I really started like reading this, and I was like excited to get to the next thing. That's where we are. I will be back with another update for you guys on another set of books, and see you then. Don't know what that was. So sorry. We're back with another zombie update. And I'm going to tell you right now, I have not actually learned a whole lot more about surviving the apocalypse. But what I have learned is go with small groups of people, not large, because somebody in that hoe will betray you. So I read Married with Zombies by Jessie Peterson, and this was such a fun
romance with zombies. The zombies were not having a romance, but people were. So this starts off with a couple. I don't remember their names, to be honest, but it starts off with a couple and they are going through marital issues, so much so that they are going to a marriage counselor who is, helping them through their issues before they decide whether they're going to get divorced or, try to work it out in their marriage. So on this one particular day, they go to their therapist's office and they're just like, something feels off, something feels amiss. And the wife, I'm not going to lie, in the beginning and for a lot of it, she was getting on my nerves. And I thought, yeah, we should divorce her. We should divorce her soon. But they go to the therapist's office and they're like, oh, it's the perfect couple ahead of us, because there is a couple that has the same therapy day as them and they just seem like they don't really have any issues. And so it's like, why are they there? But you don't really know what's going on in their marriage. Like, all you're seeing is a snippet when they enter and when they exit of the session. But anyway, they go and they're like, well, our session is supposed to start and our therapist still has not come in. And they open the door to the therapist's office and there is the perfect couple getting eaten by their therapist. And they try to slowly back up out the room because they're like, what the fuck? Our therapist is turning into a full-on cannibal and that is weird. But no, she is turned into a full-on zombie. You can like see it in her eyes that it's glassy, it's blank. There's nothing going on behind her eyes. And so they're like, we got to get the heck out of here. And as they're trying to get home, they notice that things in the city are just amok. They get to the apartment where they live and they notice that their landlord is being weird and he tries to attack them. They have a neighbor who got into their house who was turning and tried to attack them. And so they devise a plan like, hey, we need to get out of here. We need to leave the city because it's going to be unsafe. And so while they're working out a plan to try to escape the city, they're also having to trust each other a little bit more and reopen up to each other, and just because that's the only way that they're going to survive this zombie apocalypse. And so they start to do that. They start to talk about some of the issues that they're having and why, things haven't gone as well as they thought that they would in their marriage. And even though this is happening, they're still fighting zombies left and right. They're trying to escape some impossible situations. And I just had a good time. It was fun. Loved it. What did I learn from that? I learned that you should definitely keep a gas can in your car and eat all of your perishable items first when you're leaving the zombie apocalypse. Don't just leave them sitting in your refrigerator. Take them with you and then eat them first. Save your canned stuff for later. Also, sharp things. So far, all of the zombies that I've come across in these books, the head is definitely the way to go. It's a headshot. And kill the brain and they're done for. Although, if they are already dead, is their brain also not dead? I'm going to have to do a little bit more research into this. So after I read that, I actually read This Is Not a Test by Courtney Summers. She's also the author of Sadie, which I really, really liked. And I was concerned because this is a YA and me and YA do not always get along. But here we are, enjoying This Is Not a Test. So we have our main character, Sloane. She is living in an abusive situation. Her dad is abusive to her. She has a sister. Her mother's passed away many years ago. So while she's living in this situation, not too long ago, her sister has run away from home and she's feeling lots of emotions about it because her and her sister, they were thick as thieves. They were going to ride this out until Sloane became 18 and could also leave. Her sister's older. But her sister left her a note and was like, I can't anymore, and up and left her. And so Sloane is trying to process this as well as like survive her father. And then one day, she is supposed to be going back to school because her father kept her out of school because she had some visible bruises. And her father is like, you cannot go to school when you have bruises that people can easily see and identify as something that I did to you. As she's preparing for school, she realizes that there's chaos happening right at her front door. And so she opens the door and looks out, and people are running and screaming up and down her block. And she's like, what is going on? Her dad's like, what's going on? And looks outside. There is a neighbor coming and like running for them. And Sloane is like, well, do you need help? And she's trying to run towards him. And her father goes and like pushes Sloane back into the house, because it is not just a neighbor being upset. No, that neighbor is a full-on zombie trying to eat your face. The zombie actually ends up attacking Sloane's father. And while he's being attacked, Sloane makes a fucking run for it. We fast forward a couple of days later, where she has met up with a band of people, other peers from her school, and they are just trying to escape the zombie frenzy. And so they end up going to their school and locking themselves in in one area of the school. They barricade any of the windows and doors that they can find. They put construction paper up, because if the zombies can sense your movement by seeing you move, then they, try to attack. And so it is Sloane and 5 other students living in this school and trying to figure out what they're going to do. They find resources in school like food, water, some clothing from like a play or something. And so they're just trying to figure out what their next steps are. They don't want to get complacent in this place. It's almost like Breakfast Club meets an end of the world type movie, because everybody is mishmashed. None of them have a true connection prior to this incident. And so they're all trying to like get to know each other and figure out whether each other can be trusted. There are very heightened emotions going on due to some miscalculated plans. All this time, people want to get to know Sloane as well, but she has been guarded her whole life because of the abuse that she has dealt with. So she keeps people afar at a distance. And so people are like, well, can we trust her? Is she trustworthy? Can we use her to be helpful? And so you really just spend, I think it's like a month or 2 with these students as they're trying to survive in this school, and then ultimately have to decide whether they're going to stay or whether they're going to venture out into the world. I also enjoyed this a lot. You don't get a whole lot of contact with the zombies in this one, maybe a few scenes where they are present, but this is a real true humans are the monsters type of thing, where you can't really trust anyone. You're not sure if people are around to help you or whether they are around to lull you into a false sense of security so that they can ultimately screw you over. And then on top of that, you have Sloane, who is going through a lot of emotion. She doesn't know how to feel about what's happened to her dad. She doesn't know how to feel about her sister abandoning her. Is her sister even alive at this point? Because communications are down, phones don't work, that kind of thing. She dabbles with the idea of not even wanting to exist, because what's the point? And I just think it was very well written and a super fast read. I think I got through this in like 2 days or so. I enjoyed it. Then I read the comic Living with the Dead, issues 1 through 3 by Mike Richardson and Ben Stenbeck. No, it's not the most highly rated thing on Goodreads, but you can't always trust it. But damn it, did I have a good time. It was the most nothing thing I've ever read, but it was funny to me. So it's basically a bromance. You've got these 2 dudes and they are just surviving in the zombie apocalypse. They've figured out their method for living life. They go out amongst the zombies. One of them is would have been actor. And so he's like method acting amongst the zombies. He moans and moves slow so that the other zombies don't detect him as a human. And his friend is just like, bro, what are you doing? Let's get on. We have things to do. And they go places like the music store, the comic store. They go to the mall. And actually, one day while they're at the mall, they run into this girl, and she is in the middle of a group of zombies. They end up saving her from this horde of zombies that are attacking her, and they bring her back to their home. And tensions start to arrive because it's the first girl that they've seen and who knows how long. And both of the guys are like, she's cute. And so then there's like a little competition between the 2 of them, like who's going to get the girl. Also, the girl is playing both of them for fools, and she's also very annoying. And so she's just like, I'm the captain now. I run things. And things take a little bit of a turn. Just know that this romance is for life and nothing can come between them. It was short, very fast. I maybe chuckled once or twice, which is always a good time for me. And I learned that perhaps if you just put on a skull and walk very slowly and moan amongst the zombies, you may be able to pass as a zombie yourself and live freely amongst them. Unclear. Someone test this theory out. Just kidding. Because even if you did test it out, I'm gonna be long gone before you can give me the results. Because I'm not testing that out. And also, I do not plan to be around long in a zombie apocalypse. And that's what I have. I think I have 4 more books that I will come in the next round and tell you guys about and wrap this all up, so that you too will know how to survive, thrive, and be alive in the zombie apocalypse.
Hello, we are back with our 3rd update, and I know you're thinking, Robin, what the hell are you wearing? Well, let me tell you, it's cold. I'm cold in my house, and so I am just covering myself up in blankets, and so this is how we're doing this. But I wanted to come and give you guys the 3rd update in this vlog. I have had a really good time reading all of these zombie things, some more than others. That's okay, that's to be expected. I have read 6 things so far, and I think in my last clip I was going to read 4 more and give you nice even round 10, but I did and I didn't. I will start off with why I didn't. One of the books that I was going to read, Breathers by S.G. Browne, was supposed to be about zombies who fall in love with each other. And I thought, that sounds fun. That sounds like something so dumb, like it could only be a good time. It wasn't. I got about 15 pages in. I don't even know if I made it that far. But the writing was so repetitive, and it reminded me of Choke by Chuck Palahniuk, and I hated that. There was just one phrase he kept repeating over and over and over again. I can't remember what it was. I think it was something like, I bet you can't imagine. And it was just like, bro, I bet you can. Bet you we can. Or like, he would just, oh, it was just so annoying. Basically, he was talking about how he came to be a zombie. And now there were no rights for zombies. People treated them like trash, and so they had to meet in these clandestine places and hope that they wouldn't get caught by people who just hated them and were so afraid of them. Sounds interesting. It wasn't. So I DNF'd that very, very fast. This and Feed are the only 2 books that I DNF'd in all of the books that I've read for this vlog, which I would say is pretty good. So let me tell you about the 3 things that I did read in its totality. The first thing that I read was Marvel Zombies, issues 1 through 5, and I had a good time. At first, I was unsure. I was like, how are Marvel characters going to be zombies? And let me tell you, they were. They were just out here full on infected, but like totally still very cognizant of what was happening. They too had feelings and emotions and feelings, kind of like Gwen did in iZombie. But I think because I was familiar with the Marvel characters, I did not find them as annoying as Gwen. Also, Gwen was just annoying in her own right. They were on Earth, destroying the Earth, looking for sources of food because they've basically eaten everyone at this point, or people are just like dead. They're also zombies. And so they're trying to figure out, like, what are we going to do? And they band together, which I think is very interesting because normally when we think about zombies, we don't think about them coming together as a team. You know what I mean? Like, it's kind of like every man for themselves. Every zombie for themselves? I think I'm actually going to continue on and read the other Marvel zombie comics because, what? It was just such a good, dumb ride that I loved it. I had a good time. Then I read Flesh by Kylie Scott. It's the first in a series. So in Flesh, we have Allie, who once the zombie apocalypse started, once the plague started infecting people, she found a sweet spot to hide and survive. And she just really got lucky, to be honest. And and so she is living in her best secluded life, kind of, because every once in a while she hears some sounds and just like, are the zombies coming to get me? Have they figured out how to get inside the place where I have found refuge? And then one day she finds somebody in the house that she is hiding in, and it's a person, Daniel. Daniel has been staking at this house for a little bit, and I think he knows that Alley was in the house. And they run into each other. Daniel immediately is like, Alley, she is mine. I'm going to protect her with my life, and we're gonna love each other. That's it. It's me and her for forever. And Allie's just like, I don't know about this. But very quickly, she's like, all right, I'm with the shits. And so then they're trying to like live together in this house, but because Daniel has come into the house, it's kind of attracted some zombie attention. But then there's also a third person, Finn. And Finn has been watching Daniel and Allie from a distance, creepily, for a little while. And he comes into the picture and is like, well, I don't want to be alone either. And it's also like, but dang, Allie's kind of cute. I wouldn't mind. But Daniel, Allie is Daniel's. And so they get into a throuple kind. It's not really a throuple because like Daniel and Finn are not together. So really, Allie is the star of the show here, you know? And Daniel's like, I just want whatever you want to be happy. And Allie's like, I can have you both? I would say this has actually nothing to do with zombies and everything about how to survive with two dudes who want nothing but to fiercely protect you and give you all of the love that you could ever want during a zombie apocalypse. There are some moments where they encounter other people, outsiders, who obviously want to take over or take the resources that they have, because is that not what happens in every single post-apocalyptic thing? Like, the zombies are never the monsters. It's always the humans that are the monsters. So it's not really a zombie book. It's more like fucking in a zombie apocalypse book. That's really what it was. And then last but definitely not least, I read The Girl with All the Gifts by M.R. Carey. And this was also an interesting take on zombies. So we're following the zombie apocalypse after many years have happened. So the plague, the infection has already started. There is a school with different students. They're all very young. I think they're like 7, 8 years old. And one of the students is Melanie, and she can't figure out why in this place that she lives, the school, they are treated kind of weirdly. Like their hands are strapped all the time. When she comes out of her cell, there's a gun pointed at her, and she's like, why? Like, let me just go. I'm just going to class. But Melanie is a different kind of kid. As well as all the other kids in this facility, they're actually all kids that have been infected with the plague, but they are thinking, living kids. Like they're very intelligent. Melanie is highly intelligent, actually. She starts to grow an attachment to one of her teachers, and her teacher like goes there and teaches her history stuff and art stuff and just regular school things. And then also there are another group of adults who want to do tests on the kids and call them subjects. And Melanie's like, I'm not really sure what's happening. But one day at the facility that Melanie and her teachers are at, there is a break-in. Again, humans are the monsters. And so they have to flee. So Melanie, the teacher that she likes the most, and a couple of the other officials that are at this school have to flee to another place of safety. But like, it's strange because they've got to cross into zombie territory where they have not been for a long time. And then they have to find shelter on top of that, which is very hard to do because you're not sure what's zombie infested, what's not, who is already like taking up residence there. Are there like resources, food, water that they can use to survive? The captors of the zombie kids have a special ointment on them, which makes them not detectable to zombies. They are able to get away with not being hunted because the zombies are like, well, we don't really smell you, so we're not going to come after you. But because they have been ousted from their shelter, they no longer have that resources. So now Melanie is also starting to smell them and is like, y'all smell good. Also, if I can smell you, then other zombies in the area can also smell you. And now you guys are a moving target. And wildness ensues. You see this band of people try to survive together and sometimes turn on each other. Sometimes in the name of science, sometimes in the name of greed. It's a lot happening. Also, you have Melanie's teacher who is both scared of her but also wants to protect her. Melanie is also unsure because she's like, well, what does my future look like? Because I am a zombie, which I had no idea I was. What does that mean for me? Like, how am I supposed to live now? I had a very good time with this. In the beginning, I wasn't really sure where we were going, especially as we established the relationships between Melanie, the teachers, and the other people at this school institute place. I think that there is a movie that is based on the book, and I did not watch it, but maybe I will just see like how it differs from the book. But yeah, so that is everything that I read. What have I learned? I've learned that I don't have the stamina to outrun zombies, fast, slow, whether they can think, whether they are mindless and soulless. I don't have the cardio for it. I don't have the upper body strength for it. I don't have the willingness to keep going, if you know what I mean. Like, because once we get past that and we're living in these dire situations where there's no electricity, running water, there's no internet, I'm out. Like, what am I surviving for? I have to go like hunt in the woods for squirrels? Can't do it. I've learned that there are also a variety of zombies, that some are breathing, thinking beings that can keep pace with humans. Also, I think it's very interesting that we have designed it so that if you kill a zombie in the head, that is going to like dispose of them. Because I just feel like, what if that's not true? You know what I mean? What if a zombie apocalypse really does happen and we find out that you've got to shoot these fuckers in the knees? All this time we've been learning about doing headshots, and you should have just been hitting them in the kneecaps. Do not include me in your post-apocalyptic plans. I can't help you. But I had a very, very good time reading all of the different genres, all of the different mediums about zombies, and I think it just enhanced my love for zombie-age, and I think I want more. But I will definitely be picking up some more zombie things in the future. I hope you had a good time. I hope you decide to pick up one of these books and maybe read them, or if you've read a zombie book and you really liked it, let me know, tell me about it down in the comments. Let's talk about it. And until next time, bye.